BRUCAST is back, baby.
This BRUCAST episode is brought to you by the BRUCAST Store. Explore a store filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with BRUCAST. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Visit now brew-cast.com/store. Link below.
Back with the fire, can't you see the flames? From Deutschland steps comes the BRUCAST name. Voices like thunder breaking all the chains. Unleash the fury like a runaway train.
Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to another BRUCAST episode. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rate the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast recommends to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. BRUCAST also on Instagram, X, and TikTok, where I upload shorts with the highlights of the show. So follow now, BRUCAST on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Links in the description below.
Back here we thrive, we survive!
Hey there, BRUCAST fans. Welcome back to another BRUCAST episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe right now. By subscribing, liking, and commenting this video, you're gonna be then participating in our giveaway. Yes, you guys keep liking, you guys keep subscribing, you guys keep commenting. We're gonna keep doing the giveaways. We done one last month already, I think 2 months ago already. We're gonna make another one, don't worry. All you have to do again is like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna give away something from the BRUCAST store, either a cap or a mug. It's a mystery gift, who knows. All you have to do again is comment, like, and subscribe. Alright, good luck everyone. Now, let's talk about our channel sponsor. Parents, if you have been searching for an app that's both fun and educational for your kids, I've got something exciting to share with you. It's called FunTastic Plus. FunTastic Plus is a free app where education meets entertainment, designed especially for children's ages 2 to 12. It's built by experts, completely ad-free and totally safe, so you can feel confident handing your phone or tablet to your little ones. Inside the app, kids will find a world of engaging content, their favorite cartoons, audiobooks and songs to spark imagination, educational games that make learning fun. All of that keep them entertained while supporting their development. FunTastic Plus is available on iPhones and iPads and even works offline. So whether you're on a road trip, flying, or just at home, your kids will always have something to enjoy. So, if you're ready to give your kids a space that's both fun and educational, download now FunTastic Plus for free on the App Store. FunTastic Plus is a safe and ad-free educational platform for kids. Link on the description below. Alright, so that was channel sponsor, and without further ado, let's talk with our guest. We have a very special guest today. His name is Maxim Shapiro. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being a guest. So I guess my first question would be, what is toxic masculinity? Am I a toxic man?
Well, I hope not. Probably not.
Thank you.
If you know enough to ask the question, you're probably not one. What is toxic masculinity? Well, to some extent, toxic masculinity is a term that's been made up that I think a lot of people who use it probably don't even know what it means. It's just become a popular term to put down men. But if you had to come up with a definition, I would just say it's masculinity without purpose. Like men just trying to boss people around or control other people because they think that's what they're supposed to do, when actually they have no idea what they're supposed to do or why they're on this earth or who they are as people or as men. So I would give it that definition.
Okay, so if that's the definition of toxic masculinity, I can only imagine there's also femininity without purpose, right? The yin yang.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you never hear the term toxic femininity, but there's absolutely toxic femininity. And again, like I was saying earlier, I mean, there are people to whom any masculinity is toxic,
Ooh.
unfortunately. And I think that's one of the things that we want to change. But yeah, there's toxic femininity. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Where do you so the term that is mostly used is toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Where does that come from then?
I think really it comes from people being angry, probably mostly women, uh, looking at history, looking at abuses that men have visited on women and being angry about it. I think something that's kind of interesting and ironic is, and I'm not saying that men don't abuse women today or vice versa. It happens both ways, but women today have a much better life, certainly in the United States, than any women who have come before. But the women today, I think, are angrier than any women ever before, uh, and they have, in some way, well, in in some ways, they have less reason to be because they're treated better. Like a woman today is treated better. Well, it's, in some ways, has a lot more rights, certainly a lot more freedom than her mother did, or her grandmother, or great grandmother, or whatever. But the women today are probably angrier than any women who have come before them, and I think that's because the men who are around today, and again, certainly in the United States, in certain ways, are not doing as good a job as our fathers or our grandfathers or great grandfathers. So I think the further back you go generationally, the more masculine, on average, those men were, and that did come with a lot of toxicity, but it came with the masculinity also. So there, there are good and bad aspects to masculinity, but the healthy aspects of masculinity are leadership, safety, community, foundation, peace. Right? There are a lot of good things that come along with masculinity when it's used well, and I think there was just more masculinity in general in previous generations, both good and bad. But there was more good. There was probably more bad, but there was also more good. And so there was more, maybe, order in society. There was more discipline, and so I think in some ways women felt safer in those societies, even though they had fewer rights or less freedom. And I think, ironically, women today, again, certainly in the United States, probably, I mean, they certainly have a lot more rights and freedom than they ever did before, but there's also a lot less leadership and strength coming from men in our society. And so that probably in some ways makes women feel less safe. And that's in part why they're angry.
Okay, so let me see if I got that straight. In the past, there was more masculinity in general, which
Yes.
which made women in general feel more safe.
Yes,
Okay.
in certain ways. And again, there was a lot more brutality in society in previous generations also, and a lot of that was coming from men. So there certainly are ways in which women felt unsafe. There were both sides, but there were certainly ways in which society had, I think, more structure, more of a backbone, and so there were certain ways in which women felt safer in previous generations.
Would you say that this has anything to do with the more traditional family structure that existed way more abundant in the past compared to today.
Probably, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. There was more structure in general. There were fewer options and more structure. And I'm not saying, and I'm definitely not saying that I wish we could go back to how things were 40 years ago or 100 years ago, because quite frankly, if they were that good, it would have stayed that way, right? Like the reason things changed is because there were enough people who were unhappy that things needed to change, right? So, like, I don't think things are worse today than they were before. They're different, and it's a transition, and I think we're moving to something that's better. But something you definitely see in the United States, and there's certain places you see it more than others, but I think in general you see it everywhere, is that because we've, as a society, explored all these different options that weren't available before, I don't know if it's fair to say we've gone too far, but we've forgotten kind of what the core is, what the center is, right? And so I think we've kind of realized that as a society. And I think what's happening now is we're starting to return to the center a little bit, while hopefully keeping these options available, for everybody. But kind of getting back to remembering who we are, like in the majority.
What tells you that we are going back to this way of, like, let's name it, right? So otherwise it's a little bit too abstract.
Yeah.
Let's say, I don't know. I don't have a good name for it. How would you describe
I mean, you could call it
family unit
traditionalism or whatever.
traditionalism?
I'm
Yeah.
not saying we're not going back. We're not moving backwards.
Okay.
Right? We're moving forward. But I mean, I'll give you an example. So, like today, there are, say, transgender operations that can take place, right? And that wasn't an option 50 years ago, right? And it's this new thing that's available in society. And so, I mean, personally, I think that if an adult wants to have that type of procedure, then it's their right to do it. You know, I, you so I'm glad that people have that right. But then you have instances of like children going through it, right? Which personally I think is too far. Like if you're an adult, that's one thing, you can make your own decisions. But I think, changing the genders of children is way beyond decency. And I think that, I think there are a lot of people who think that. And so I think that people who think that are starting to speak up more. And so we kind of went, way over to the side here. And I think more of the voices who aren't completely comfortable with the fringe are being louder and pulling us back towards the center. And we're not, it's not like we're going to go back to, transgender operations are illegal. I mean, I hope we don't. But I think just because they're available doesn't mean everybody needs to have one, and it doesn't mean everyone who's had one should have had one, right? Especially if we're talking about children. That's just one example. It just is kind of an obvious one that sprang to my mind. There's certainly others that are maybe less, sensitive, but that's just one way of describing it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
I'll give you another example. I live in the Bay Area in California, right? And I mean, everybody knows this because San Francisco and California are always in the news. as far as homeless population and dirty cities and all this kind of stuff. One thing I'll say is I actually travel quite a lot throughout the United States, and San Francisco, at least, is not really any worse than a lot of other cities that I see that think that they are better, quite frankly. And San Francisco is cleaning itself up and it's heading in the right direction. But there definitely has been an experiment, in California and other liberal cities with less law enforcement, which allowed more people to do more things in the streets than they had before. Theft was not being prosecuted or even stopped, and so you had people stealing from retail establishments. As long as it was less than $1,000 or whatever, they knew they wouldn't get arrested. Things like this.
That's insane.
That were well intentioned, right? There was a reaction to what came before that, but in practice, we've now seen, well, this is kind of crazy. We want to walk the streets and feel safe. We want to walk the streets and have those streets be clean. We don't want, homeless people, quite frankly, living everywhere, walking everywhere, defecating, going to the bathroom. And this is not the city we want to live in. And so, and homeless people are a small part of the population, but they kind of took over more than their fair share of space and society's attention, right? And now the people who aren't homeless, which are there are many more people who are not homeless than who are homeless, those people are starting to kind of realize, hold on a second, I have rights too, right? So I'm going to start to take back some of my rights. I'm going to start to be more vocal because I want homeless people to be okay. I want them to be safe somewhere, but I don't want them to be everywhere. And I want to walk in a city where I feel safe and that's clean and beautiful. So that's just an example that is very present here in California, and I think, quite frankly, around the country.
All right, but how does that tie with masculinity? And
well, because that energy of saying, you know what, this is not right, and we're gonna set this right. Generally speaking, is a masculine trait.
Oh.
I'm not saying, again, just to be clear, I'm not saying men are the only ones who know right from wrong. I'm not saying women are not capable of demonstrating this trait. I'm simply saying on the range of energy from masculine to feminine, right? One trait of masculinity, and it's a very healthy and good trait, is this trait that says, okay, I'm looking out at the world, I see where there's injustice or imbalance, and I'm going to set it right. That's, and when people, and men specifically, are acting responsibly and correctly, there's more of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. I was talking with a friend the other day. He said, Bruno, why do you think there's way more females in hospitals taking care of people? Like, women by nature are more nurturing. Like, you cannot say that women and men are the same, because they're not. Like, biologically, they're not. Like, in several ways, they are not, So I understand what you mean by the energy aspect. Like, men, they tend to do some, like, I think it's common sense that men are more sexually easily triggered than women. Like, I'm generalizing. We're generalizing here, right? Because I would say there's always exceptions. There is always exception. So absolutely, yeah. I'm sorry, I cut you. So basically, what you're saying is that in large, we are entering a more masculine era. Would you say that's anyhow related to the recently political shift in the U.S.?
Well, actually, I would say that our president and certain other people in his administration, unfortunately, tend to exhibit traits of toxic masculinity.
Oh,
uh, and which is not, which is not to say that I dislike everything about Donald Trump. I didn't vote for him, but I was actually, I was excited when he, came into when he was elected president, and I think he has good intentions, and there are probably things that he's doing that are good, but he has a way of coming across that is actually very toxic. And you're seeing that both domestically and internationally. Other countries, leaders of other countries are reacting to his demeanor in our administration's demeanor in a way that's like, you know what, you are trying to bully me, and there are certain things you can get away with, but you can't get away with everything because we're going to fight back. And that's happening domestically also. So, he is, he's definitely a leader. He's absolutely a leader. And if you look at our political spectrum today, he's probably the only leader that we have, unfortunately. The reason Donald Trump is so popular is because he is a leader. And he's authentic. He has the courage to be authentic. And he's probably the only politician that you can say that of. Maybe Bernie Sanders as well. Maybe Zoran Mamdani, seems to be soon to be mayor of New York City. But when you look at politicians in the United States, there are very few examples of authenticity and leadership. And there are plenty of examples of fakery and just the absence of leadership, right? So the reason Donald Trump is as popular as he is, he's certainly masculine in certain ways. Some of those ways are healthy, some of those ways are not. But he is definitely authentic. And he's definitely a leader. He's not embarrassed to be himself, and so that's why he's so popular.
I see. Yeah. I in certain ways agree, but at the same time that he feels like a leader, he also has he like says some whack shit.
Oh yeah.
He's like, the other day I was just listening to the news. Apparently he wants to build like a ballroom next to the White House. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, and what I mean when I say that he's a leader, it's not all good, right?
Yeah.
Do you
Hitler think it's possible to have to be a leader, a masculine leader, only with the good aspects and none of the bad? Is this even possible?
It's possible. It's nobody's perfect, but it's worth striving for, right? I'm not comparing Trump to Hitler. He isn't. But Hitler was a leader, right? That doesn't mean he did some of the worst things that have ever been done in the history of the human race, right? So to your point of, well, Trump does these crazy things. Yeah, he absolutely, by calling him a leader, I'm not saying everything he does is good, because you can lead people in a bad direction, right? But what it takes to be a leader, unfortunately, to be a leader, you don't have to be a good person to be a leader. You have to be confident to some extent. You have to be audacious. You have to be willing to take the lead. If you're willing to take the lead in this world, because most people are not. Most people want to be led. Okay, so the people who are willing to take the lead are relatively few. And so if you're willing to take the lead, then you will be a leader, and followers will be drawn to you. And regardless which direction you're going in.
Yeah.
You could be the worst person in the world, unfortunately, and you can be a leader, and people will be drawn to you, because not everybody, but there are people to whom your message will make sense, and they will follow you. So regardless which direction you want to lead in, you will, if you are committed to it, you will succeed, and followers will be drawn to you. So it's all the more important to have as many leaders as possible who are good people, who are trying to lead in a good direction, and to whom people will be drawn, right? And so that's an opportunity in this country and in the world for men to step up and do a better job of exhibiting the best qualities that men are capable of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. While you were talking about the different types of leader, like being a leader and people will follow you, I couldn't stop thinking about cult leaders. You know, like those guys are insane. Like, I'm sorry, I'm out of a better word, but they are. Some of them are for sure, and they gather huge followings just because they have this confidence that you mentioned. They're probably not good people. Maybe they think they are. Who knows? I don't know. I never met one. But but they gather a massive following. Some of them, it's crazy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You look at what those people represent, what they talk about, and if you're a healthy person psychologically, you're going to be like, this person is crazy. But like you said, they have charisma, and they gather people towards them. And, you know, a lot of times, most people in that kind of mold are stopped before they can do too much harm.
Yeah.
But again, going back to the example of Hitler, that guy, you know, was crazy. And if you listened to what he was saying when he first started, people were probably like, this guy is a loon, and you know, somebody's going to stop him. He's not going to go anywhere. But unfortunately, nobody stopped him, right? When it was early and he could have been stopped, nobody stood up to take the lead. There weren't enough good men.
I mean, Tom Cruise tried, but it didn't work.
Yeah, right. Tom Cruise. Yeah, he didn't quite get the job done. You know, there was one really bad man, and there weren't enough good men who were willing to act when it was early on, and you could have stopped him and he wouldn't have done any damage, right? And so he was able to continue on. And that whole time, that was growing, there were people around saying, this guy's crazy. At some point, somebody has to do something. But they were never willing to be the ones, right? So that's the thing. To be a leader, you have to be willing to be the one, right? You have to be willing to take the chance, to step forward, to put yourself at risk. And that's the only way to get other people to follow you.
How can someone separate like this selflessness will of being a leader and truly help people separate that from narcissistic delusion? Because I feel like a lot of those leaders, like you see a lot of CEOs, like they're just a bunch of narcissistic assholes. I'm entitled to everything. I'm God on earth. I deserve everything. Everyone's below me, and I'm the chosen one. Like, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Right.
And I don't feel like that's very, very healthy. That would fall into the toxic masculinity, I would say. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think there was like a famous like psychological profile that was done of like the typical, I don't know if it was a Fortune 500 CEO, but some survey that was done, and it was like the typical profile of this person matched the profile of a psychopath.
Yeah.
You know, so absolutely. I think the difference is if you're connected to your authenticity, to your true self. If you yourself are in a healthy place and you're connected to your authenticity, then chances are your intentions are going to be good, and you're going to be coming from a good place in your leadership. Whereas if you're not, connected to your own authenticity, then you're going to want power for the sake of power. And you're probably going to think that you want to do good and do the right thing. And maybe you do, but you just don't know how. And you're just exerting power because that's what you know how to do. And you keep getting more power because as we've discussed, as long as you're willing to exhibit the traits of a leader, people will follow you. So it doesn't matter which direction. You could be going in a bad direction. It'll still happen. So if a person is audacious enough, then they're going to move through life and they're going to be like, well, I keep doing this stuff and it keeps working and it's not honest, or it's, I'm hurting people, but things keep going my way. Like, if it was that bad, I wouldn't be able to do it. God would stop me or whatever. But that's not how it works. That's not how life in this earth works. It's like ultimately it is. Ultimately, if you're a bad enough person, again, as we saw with Hitler, the rest of the world will gang up and they will stop you. But it just might take a long time. And you're going to do a lot of damage before that happens.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Whew. Do you do you believe that the thing is, Max, is that while talking about Hitler, there's all those conspiracy theories that he fled to Argentina, right? So there was no real consequences for his acts. I don't know how much of this is true. I don't want to think that is true because I want to believe that. Let me get you my question. Do you believe in karma? Do you think that's a real thing?
Yeah, I do, for sure.
Yeah?
I do. Yes. Yeah, I mean, and we don't have to talk about Hitler. There were a lot of people who took part in the Nazi plan who fled. Mm-hmm. Whether it was Argentina, Brazil, the U.S. I mean, think about it. The U.S., World War II ends, right? And the U.S. government is like, we need to get as many of these German doctors and scientists over here as possible. Like, what is it? The U.S. space program that's based in Alabama, right, was started by Nazis.
I think it was called Operation
Huntsville, Alabama. There's a huge space operation.
Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, but just in general, right? Yeah. Along with like Cape Canaveral in Florida, like it's a huge NASA kind of base of operations, and it was basically started by Nazis. Like the U.S. government took the best and brightest German scientists and doctors that they could after World War II, brought them over here, gave them homes. And that's what happened. So
where's the karma in there? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So, well, because the karma is that these people still had to live with themselves, right? So you might look at it and say, well, they were able to escape. They were able to start these second lives. A lot of these people changed their names. They were trying to hide from the past. But that need to hide from the past, that is the punishment. Right? So you might say, well, they were never punished because they weren't caught by the law. They got to live the rest of their lives. They lived in Argentina. It's beautiful, whatever. Yeah, in one aspect, you're right. But inside, in their minds, in their heart, they knew who they were. And they knew what they had done. And they had to live with that for the rest of their life. That's the karma.
That's beautiful. I want to believe that, but I like.
Well, it's true. I mean, haven't you ever? I mean, I know that I've done things that I'm not proud of in my life, and at the time, I might not have been conscious enough to understand that living that way was exerting a negative influence on me. But looking back, now that I'm a different person and a better person, I realized that I was just hiding from myself, and I wasn't happy, right? And you could say, well, you didn't face some external consequence for being dishonest or whatever, but I certainly faced internal consequences, and those manifest in an external way as well. Right? I wasn't living the life that that I could live. I was not fulfilling my potential because I was not honest with myself. So there absolutely are consequences, and karma is a real thing.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I think you're right. We had this guest. I bring her a lot. It was very, very shocking. Her story. Oh man, I think her name was Linda. I don't. Yeah, Linda. Her name is Linda, and she would go through life without opening herself up. She wouldn't talk to a therapist. She'd go through stuff, have her traumas, but not talk to people, not talking to therapists, not talk, I don't know, to anyone. And over time, just because of she was not talking about those things that happened to her, she started developing PTSD. And it reached a level that I think I told this story so many times in the show already, but it was shocking to me, like the power that we have just by telling our story, just by being ourselves, but being honest with ourselves. It's liberating. It's everything. It just grounds yourself in reality and brings your sanity back. I mean, it's powerful stuff. So I can understand what you mean. Those Nazis, by fleeing to another country, pretending there are other people living a lie, literally living a lie, must have costed some toll, like a mental toll for sure. Yeah, I know it. Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
For sure. They probably died earlier of heart attacks or whatever. They probably got cancer. I mean, all of that stuff takes a physical toll.
Yeah. Max, going back to masculinity and toxic masculinity, I think I'm interested in knowing about a little bit more about the father figure. How much do you think that influences the development of masculinity and which direction it goes for a young boy?
I think it influences a lot. Again, speaking personally, it certainly influenced me a lot. I did not have a good example of masculinity at home. My father was, very, very intelligent, a hard worker, but did not see himself as a leader or behave as a leader in the home. Ironically, outside the home, he was a leader. But in our home, he did not exert leadership. He did not exert the best aspects of his masculinity. So I did not have a good example of masculinity growing up, which led me to kind of try to make up my own masculinity, which was quite frankly toxic. And it's best if you have a good father figure. I think that there are people who get it elsewhere. If you're surrounded by other men who are leaders and can fill that role, I didn't have that. Not that there weren't good men around me, there were. I just didn't, I probably took as much from them as I was capable of at the time. There wasn't enough to give me all of what I needed. So I think it plays a large role.
Okay. And for how long did you, let's say, how long did it take you to, I don't want to say get rid of those toxic traits, but realize that they were detrimental to your health and to your environment? And let's say bring healthier patterns into your masculinity? How this process
I would
work?
say it really took me till I was 40 years old.
Okay.
And
Okay.
interestingly enough, what transformed me was a woman,
Oh.
not a man. I think here's what it is. I saw a lot of good masculinity around me, but I didn't connect to it in a way that I myself exemplified it. but I had kind of inside me this knowledge of this is what it is to be a good person. This is what it is to be a good man. Okay. And what I needed was the courage and the determination to live that way. And this woman gave me those things. Right? She was able to get through to me in a way that got me to start being the person. It's like I knew what to do. I knew how to behave. I think at some level, I was afraid, probably because I was afraid to be a leader. And at some level, I was like, well, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, whether you do a good job or don't do a good job, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, God's not watching, or, like, you know, because I think I saw people who were doing well, but weren't honest or whatever. I think, like, when I was little, I just got this idea in my head, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you don't have to be a good person in order for your life to go well, right? But and you know, there probably are examples of that, but it's not really true. It certainly wasn't true for me, right? And so this woman kind of gave me a sense of faith in life and in myself, and so then I started having the conviction to start behaving in this way that I knew was the right way, but I had never had the strength to do it before. And, you know, then I started, you know, slowly but surely just being the person I had always wanted to be.
What did she say to you? There was like a key
Said
phrase.
a lot of things. We were in a relationship together for you know, 8.5 years, but she was a combination of like yelling at me, you know, scolding me, and loving me, right? So it wasn't just coddling, right? And it wasn't just negativity. It was kind of like both. Like, she had the courage to tell me what she really thought about me, and she also gave me the opportunity to improve and showed me what it meant when somebody didn't quit on you.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So she believed in you.
Yeah.
If you could
Yeah.
summarize it. Okay.
Yeah.
So my following question would be, I need to ask it. How important do you think the mother role is in the life of a young boy in developing healthy masculinity? We talk about the father. What about the mom?
Yeah. Extremely important.
So both, basically. You need to have a
Well, yeah. I mean, both. Yeah, absolutely. Both are extremely important in different ways. But I think what's really true is you need to have at least one good one, right? If both are not really there, then you're in trouble. And I hear this a lot. From people around me, that you need to have at least one good one, and I agree with that. And again, just talking personally about my parents, like when I was a kid, when I was very little, my parents were they had their own kind of thing going on. They didn't have a lot of time or space emotionally for me, right? So they were certainly doing their best, and they were doing what they thought they needed to do. Essentially, they gave me birth, they kept me alive, and we were from the Soviet Union. We moved to the United States. Education was very important. Basically, my parents' view of their job was to feed me, to house me, and to give me the best education possible. That was essentially it, right? And they did those things. They themselves were not the healthiest people emotionally And so, you know, it's like I kind of, from an emotional perspective, our home was kind of a vacuum. And I was an only child, and it was kind of a scary place to be from that perspective. Like, my parents didn't beat me. It wasn't like this, right? If you looked at it, you wouldn't really think anything negative. But just for me personally, because my parents were not very deep emotionally. They were intelligent people. They aren't, I mean, they're still alive. They're intelligent people. I mean, they're also different today than they were, you know, 40, 45 years ago. But they didn't have a lot of emotional depth. And so, you know, I didn't get a lot of emotional training as a child, right? And very often you'll see, like, okay, maybe the father is kind of abusive, but the mother is very nurturing, and so she becomes kind of the base for the child. Or maybe the mother isn't that stable emotionally, but the father is like a rock, and he's a leader, and he holds it together, and so the child gets that from the father. But I really didn't have, I didn't really bond very closely with either of my parents. And so, yeah, that was pretty tough. I didn't have a good, like, feminine role model, and I didn't have a good masculine role model.
Okay, okay. That's why later in life, when you met this wife, she was able to bring a lot of things to your life that maybe were missing from your childhood. That
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, she gave me a lot of the things that my parents never gave me. So yeah, she was like a lot of people in one. For me, she's an amazing person.
Yeah.
We're not together anymore, but she's, you know, yeah, she's an incredible person, and she changed my life. I mean, like, in just immeasurable ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I saw this TikTok the other day where they were trying to explain what are relationships, and the analogy that they used is when you go into a relationship, you carry your own bricks, you bring your own bricks, the other person bring their own bricks, and together you guys build the foundation and you build a house together. And the bricks is basically like like your story and your values and basically who you are. And you, by building this house together, you complement each other. And I can totally see how this happened to you in a beautiful way. Yeah.
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 Thank you.
That's wonderful. um I don't think I have more questions. Is there anything else that you like to share with us, Max?
I mean, I'll just say that, you know, I'll speak to the men out there first of all, and I'll just say, you know, each of you has it in you to be here's what I'll say. In order to be a leader, first and foremost, you have to lead yourself. All right? It's not about leading other people. First and foremost, you have to be a leader for yourself. And what that means is having the courage to decide to be the person you want to be, right? Against peer pressure, against doubts, fears, whatever. Like, if you know, if there's a model of a person that you want to be, honest, brave, whatever, have the courage to be that person, right? And if you're able to lead yourself in that way, then you have the capability to lead other people. But leading yourself comes first. And so, for the men out there, each of you has the capability to lead yourself, right? I mean, different people have different destinies in life. Some people are destined to lead hundreds of thousands of people. Some people are destined to lead 5 people. It doesn't matter, right? If you're being authentic, then that's all that counts. But it starts with you. And then, to the women out there, you know, you have faith in the men in your life, but also have the courage to, like, force them to be better, right? I think a lot of women want to have better men around them, but they are not willing to do anything to make that happen, right? They want to complain and get upset and get angry that men aren't better, which is understandable. It's their right to do that. But we all have a responsibility to build the society that we want. So, you know, if you're angry with your husband or your son or your boyfriend or whatever because you don't think he's being the person that you need him to be or that he could be, have the courage to say that to them. Don't just hold it inside, right? You'll be doing them a favor, and you'll be doing yourself a favor. So I want to say that, and then just from a personal perspective to plug my own business and how I can help. You know, one way for men to get in touch with their own authenticity and their masculinity and use their masculinity in the healthiest way possible is to work with a coach.
Yes.
And I certainly do that. And my business is Forward Motion Coaching. And, you know, when it's appropriate, I can give all the details of where you can find all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we talked earlier, the importance of having someone who believes in you, because you might have this courage in there, you just don't know about it. I would assume that having this person like just, hey, you can do it, makes a huge difference. We had also what was his name, man? I'm sorry, John Carter. There you go. We had another guest also. He was involved with the mafia and he was using drugs. Like, oh man, what was a crazy story. Guys, go listen up. It was really like a roller coaster. And he said how this single woman literally, I don't want to say saved his life, but from the conversation that we had, literally felt like saved his life. And I was like, John, what do you mean? She said she believed in me just because she listened to me, and it changed everything. And I feel I've done therapy, right? And it just validates your reality. Sometimes that's all that needs, because you go through stuff in life and you don't talk to people. It just feels, and it starts ruminating about things, whatever it is. And it just feels like whatever is going on is just in here, up there. And you, I would say that's the definition of going crazy. That's how I would interpret things. I don't know if that's actually what's happening, but that's how it's living. It's just by spitting it out and having like another human being, another presence, another sentient person there, like just listening to you. Just listen. They don't even need to say anything. It's just, whoa. That everything that happens actually happened. Whoa, okay, I'm actually not that crazy. Like, there's someone agreeing with me that what I went through actually happened. And I don't know where I'm going with that, Max.
You're very right.
Yeah.
You do go crazy if the only person you talk to about your most personal things is yourself, then you will go crazy. Because, you know, living the life in your mind is not real life. It makes a huge difference to hear your own thoughts out loud. That's how you really get to know yourself, right? Is to hear this, to hear yourself say this stuff. You really get to see who you are, you know, in front of yourself. And that's, you know, therapy, coaching, that's the role that these people play, is listening and giving you a place to talk.
Yeah, thanks God we have ChatGPT now. We can just talk to our robots overlords until the end of times. Did you see how many people have been diagnosed with psychosis? It's called, they have a name for it now. It's called ChatGPT psychosis.
Oh man.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun. All right, Max. Thank you so much, man. So you shared with us that you do coaching. We're gonna leave the link on the description below. Thank you so much. Do you have any final words? Any last goodbye? Any final thing?
Just, you know, have the courage to believe in yourself. You also said that you might ask me for a book or something like that.
If you wrote a book, just let us know.
Well, I didn't write a book, but I'm reading a book now, and not about masculinity per se, but it's one I'm reading for the second time. I read it the first time probably 25 years ago. It's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And a lot of people have probably heard of it. It's one of the most, famous books in the world. A lot of people have probably read it, but if it's been a long time since you read it, it might be worth reading again. I'm reading it now, and it's got a lot of true things about life, about masculinity, even though it's not a book about masculinity, and about being a leader and being a good person and the person that you want to be.
Beautiful. I have one last question though. Would there be one single habit, what would you say would be the most effective habit that a man could take right now in order to become a better man? One simple thing.
Start doing things that scare you in a
Oh,
good way,
all right.
right? Because you have to, in order for a man to really be fulfilled in life, he's got to challenge himself. He's got to be striving to fulfill his potential in life. And the only way to do that is to do stuff that scares you. Take on big things. Go ask that woman out, in the grocery store, whatever. Stuff that's scary in the moment, start doing those things.
Beautiful. Let's end up there. Face our fears, everyone. Thank you so much, Max.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. All right, everyone, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rank the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast is recommended to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. Check out now the BRUCAST store, Explore store, filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with BRUCAST. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Buy now at brew-cast.com/store. Again, that's brew-cast.com/store. Link on the description below. Be a BRUCAST model and get free stuff. We'd love to see how you and your loved ones enjoy BRUCAST. Snap a picture of yourself, your family, your friends, or even your pets wearing BRUCAST merch, or watching an episode of the show, and send it to us and become part of BRUCAST. We will feature you and your pictures at the end of every episode, just like the ones you're seeing on the screen right now. You can upload your pictures at brew-cast.com/contact or tag us on social media. Alright everyone, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye bye.